Good afternoon. We are reconvening our 2020 budget hearings, day 5, and we will be continuing with the Department of General Services. So, Director, if you can introduce yourself and members of your team, and when council members come in, I will introduce them.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Acting Chair, for allowing me to speak and for us to come here and to present to you today. So just real quick on my staff, we got Burke Attila, CFO, Ben Brosh, Deputy CFO, and then here we go, we got Bob Gibson, Chief of Fleet, been here a couple years. But then we got Abrar, who's going to be assisting Bob. He's been here 2 days. So we got Chichi Nyaga Nash, newly named Deputy Director of Department of General Services. We got Troy King. She's also in the fiscal staff, very up-and-coming superstar. We got Kay Campbell. She's also another superstar. She's worked for DGS since she was 18, 17. So it's only been 4 years, but she's really just a star, right? But she's she works on a lot of IT stuff for us, IT manager. We got Bambi Stevens, Capital Projects, Chief. Marwan Al-Kharajat, he's second in command there, or engineer supervisor. Steve Strickland, Chief of Facilities. But I also want to jump over, raise your hand, Terrell. So there's Terrell Chesson. He has been with us for a couple years. He is going to be taking over. Strickland will be leaving facilities in a couple weeks, or in the next coming weeks. But we have Terrell. Terrell has an MBA, an FMP, working on his PMP, and just really qualified guy, and we're excited that he came right up. So back over here, Hillary Chester, real estate agent extraordinaire. Catherine Burns, human resources chief for about 5 years, also won the Rising Star Award from HR Magazine this year. And we got Tarana Galloway from, I've known her forever, so she's my assistant, so she's great.
Excellent. Before we get started, I want to welcome Jeff Amoros in the Mayor's office. Thank you, Jeff. And I also want to congratulate your team on the Efficiency Award that you guys won this year. And so when my colleagues come into the room, when you're finishing off your presentation, if you can just elaborate on the specifics of that award and how you guys accomplished that, so maybe we can replicate that in some other agencies.
Which one?
Which one? The one, the cost savings measures that you put in,
okay.
Which resulted in you guys getting bonuses.
Gotcha. Gain sharing. Got it. Okay. We got like 6 awards. So.
I assume you didn't bring all the all the plaques in here with you today.
No, I mean we don't have enough people. No.
We have the table if you want to come.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got a table. Just kidding.
Well, you can dive into your presentation.
Yeah, just real quick. So proud of my team. We're always working hard. We're always working harder. We've just really come along so far to be able to win these awards, such as the NACO Award for Best in Category for Financial Management. The gain sharing program has been amazing. I loved it, and everybody loves it. So including that, we also went from Governing Magazine's top 100 fleets. Last year we were number 96 in our first year, and this year we moved up to number 55. And again, the team staff has been amazing. We've had 6 individual people win major awards over the last year or two, or after the last year. HR Rising Star for Catherine. We have 1 Daily Record VIP, 2 Maryland Leading Women, and an American City and County Exemplary Public Servant, as well as a Route 50 Next Generation Navigator Award finalist. So just a lot of different little things we're doing that really add up and are fun. So again, I'm excited about the NACO Awards, also excited about Code for the Schools program. If you guys remember that one, that's the one where we have a class of 8 kids that are public school kids but come after school to learn coding. We work with them and Code in the Schools partnership. We're also continuing with our fleet program. This is our 3rd or 4th year. We'll have kids from each school that will be interns until, and hopefully can make their way into full mechanics. We got one guy who's so excited, he just became a full-time employee, started the program about 3 years ago. And he's, has his own car and is super excited, and we'll tell you how excited he is about, growing through DGS. We also have a partnership with Job Corps for junior electricians. And we also have a program now where we're trying to work with ROCA. They do work with us some to clean up some outlying buildings. So we definitely believe not only in innovation, but also in getting the right types of people into the city and also bringing the people along or training city residents and giving them opportunities as well. So we're excited about all those programs. Let's see, and that's pretty much it for that. Would you like me to go through the slides?
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
And we've been joined by Councilman Bill Henry and Chairman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. So again, DGS's org chart. We've got the admin division, fleet management division, facilities, and then the capital division. Fleet management, again, is our biggest dollar value, very large division. We have done a lot in the last couple years to really improve the quality of life for the employees, and it's really improved the, I guess, the output, or at least the vehicle availability from day to day. So the coolest, so besides the master lease, which again, isn't a master lease, it's the master way of purchasing vehicles. We've really improved the quality of our fleet, so you don't see those 40-year-old junkers running around nearly as much. And now also the gain sharing program, which is really awesome, which we got together with the unions and kind of incentivized the employees to get vehicles out on the street in a safe manner. And then as we get savings together, as long as we make sure we hit those goals of availability, then we're going to give savings back. So I think in the first full year of the program, we're at almost $3,000. Did we hit 3,000? Yeah, 3,000 per employee, and the city's probably saved, what do we say, $1 million? Over $1 million in savings back to the city as well. So good program. We're pretty pleased with that. Administration, just again, the people that work in the central office, finance people, me, stuff like that. Facilities management, again, this is, been improving over the years. I like to say that we're doing our best on everything, but again, the buildings are capitally underfunded, so a lot of times we're putting out fires, but we're decent firefighters by now. We try our best, and we want to continue to work to become better. Steve Strickland has brought the division really far along, and I'm expecting Terrell to jump right in and put his own spin on it and bring some extra of his ideas to it. So I'm pretty excited that we have such a good succession going. Capital projects, design and construction. Again, this is for capital projects. This is the operating budget, not the capital budget. So again, the operating budget is really just for the staff, the cost of the staff, whereas the capital budget is a separate thing. And I think that will be it.
Okay, we've been joined by Councilman Ryan Dorsey in the back of the class. No problem. Councilman Henry.
Good afternoon. So I had a question about fleet management, and it's somewhat conceptual. Are you aware of whether there's anything in the sustainability plan that speaks to the eventual shift of our fleet to something that is at least hybrid?
Yeah, so we definitely have people looking at seeing what types of vehicles work best. So in the past, we've done, I'm going to be frank here, every 10 years, some new type of vehicle comes around, and it was hybrids or this and that, and then we always jump and buy a couple, and then nothing happens of it. I do think, but a lot of times that's because then the technology fades out over time. We have gotten newer electric vehicles. What are they, the Leafs? Or not the Leafs, the Volts. And they're nice little cars. I think the cost has finally gotten to the point where the long-term cost of ownership is being close. So we're analyzing for us to wait until the cost of long-term ownership is equal, and then we're going to move towards that. So we're definitely looking towards that because it does have, well, it's got, yeah. I mean, there's positive and negatives to it, but I do believe we're going to be ramping up in future years once the costs become the right cost towards more electric vehicles. So we have about 5, and we are trying to get agencies, users, to also get on board. So we use them, a couple of them, and we like them, but we're trying to talk the agencies into liking them a little more. What?
We limit them out to some of the agencies.
Yeah, so we loan them out, and any agencies that want to try them out that haven't said so, we really think, at least right now, there's certain places that they could be well used, like inspectors, stuff like that.
The reason that I was thinking about it was I noticed under the major budget items that you maintain, you're able to maintain this year the fleet labor rate of $106 an hour. And what I was curious about is, do you have some type of plans for either training or retraining, or where you're getting new mechanics from as we move to vehicles that aren't just pure internal combustion engines? I know that like we had a 20-year-old Honda, and there was a guy I could take it to, and then we got a Prius, and I can't take it to that guy anymore because it's a totally new technology. So how are we going to deal with that? Is that something that you're already planning for, or is it something that will? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Say Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson. We are already looking into that. We have a training room down at Central Garage. I have a training officer. One of the tasks he's dealt with is, making sure our people are up to speed on certain things. As a matter of fact, him and I just had a discussion this week about hybrid vehicles and getting somebody in here to train our people, because it's high voltage, and if you're not properly trained, certain things you shouldn't touch. So we're in the process of getting some classes set up.
Okay. I don't know really anything about the volts, but a friend of mine who apparently was involved with Tesla early on had shared with me that one of the ways in which they were expecting the all-electric car, at least through Tesla, to revolutionize the auto industry is that they require substantially less maintenance than internal combustion engines. And what I wondered was, is that being factored in when you're looking at the total cost? Is hopefully the labor rate is substantially, if the rate might end up being higher because you need to do additional training, but the number of hours needed on them should hopefully be so much lower that that should help them pay for themselves.
Correct. Yes, sir. And one of the things we're looking at, if this does take over, and as in fact reduces the amount of labor we need, we'll look at that in attrition. As some of the other people will retire. We've already given this some thought.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And we also, in our contracts, we put training in a lot of when we buy vehicles. So we have the actual manufacturer come out and train our people.
That's outstanding. Thank you very much.
And we've been joined by Council Vice President Sharon Middleton.
Thank you.
So, Director Sharkey, we recently had a cyber attack on the city. Can you share with us what, if any, impact it's had on your agency?
So the good thing about DGS is that even though we're all up here in nice suits and air conditioning, the folks that actually do the work are mostly out there doing the work. They're painting stuff, they're fixing stuff. So the good thing is that they have the mechanics are just able to call, get their parts right away. It's a little bit slower for them, so going and putting stuff in their data, not as good. It's our building maintenance guys. They're again a little bit slower in getting the work orders out, but in terms of doing the job, going places, they're all good. So the work continues. There's a lot of small things that really you never expect that get to be a problem later. So at the beginning, there were some issues with the payments of contractors who were very reliant upon. That appears to have ameliorated, and now we're pushing out everyday payments through the fiscal system as far as we can. So that was kind of our biggest concern. There's a lot of little things, though, that it messed up. Our faster work order system, which is our fleet system, was on the local network drive. and went down. Luckily, we had a decent backup from not too far saved, and we had already been in the process of ordering Faster Web, which is the online version. So we've already moved, a lot of people helped. Good work to Kay and other folks at DGS, Fleet, everybody, and the vendor for working with us to just kind of fast track that. So we're on the web now. It's not a perfect implementation, but the mechanics are now able to get in through the computerized work order system.
Were your emails impacted?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
When was the first time you heard from BCIT?
What was it, a Thursday? What day did it happen?
The 7th.
It was a Tuesday? I'm sorry. I remember I got, couldn't use my email, and then an hour later I got a call on my cell phone and my office phone about the whole thing.
Who called you?
It was like the automated call thing.
Okay, so have you heard from the director of BCIT?
Yeah, well, we have the cabinet set up a group text that night on WhatsApp, and then there's also a Slack page for the communications for the cabinet members.
Gotcha, okay. And so your emails are still down?
Well, not every, I'd say what are we up to? We're about 90%. So
You're
down
90% back up.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. We've been joined by council members Sneed and Bullock. Welcome. The council president is not in this meeting, so I will ask a couple questions. The council president put in and successfully passed an equity assessment legislation. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so have you guys hired or identified an equity coordinator? If so, who is that person?
So most of the equity that we go through is through Bambi Shop. So we map out each year. We were never instructed to hire an equity coordinator. It wouldn't be a full-time job, but we do look at the equity, and the main place where the equity would have to happen is in the capital projects. So we work on that. We try to make sure we spread out as much money as possible, but at the same time, if an elevator is failing, we have to go to the elevator. And I'd love to put more money out towards the police districts and such, but...
So the equity coordinator, it doesn't have to be a new person. It could be somebody within the operations. The law does require that they are a member of your team that also lives in the city.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, well, I'll double check to see, did we put somebody in place or no? We'll put somebody in the fiscal office.
Yeah, and I would just suggest that you also take a look at the piece of legislation because it also has other requirements. There's a date coming up, I think, in October where certain steps have to be taken, and the person has to be a direct report to you. And so I would just suggest that you take a look at that.
Okay.
And so I assume that you guys haven't had any trainings in the Department on Equity and Inclusion yet, right?
No, well, actually, equity in being, we are probably the only agency that's had workplace violence, sexual harassment training for every employee, as well as customer service training. So I know that's not in the equity training mindset,
Right.
but planning department also puts some stuff on. So a lot of times we're working with planning
Gotcha.
on their equity.
I just take a look at it, and if you have any questions, please let us know. But that is something that's going to have to be in place shortly, and there's required trainings along with that legislation. And so you're not alone as far as city agencies who have not done it yet, but I suggest that after this week you guys start working towards that.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was I didn't know there was trainings and all that stuff. So I just thought we had to. I knew we had to analyze and provide reports each year, but I didn't know there needed to be a particular person.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, you do have a little bit more time on that. Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Councilwoman Sneed.
Thank you. So do we know, or do we have a preference for which cars are bought for, let's say, fire, regular transportation cars? Like, is it the agencies that are telling you what they want, or do they just have a list of what they get to choose from?
So are you talking about fire or
Anybody in Baltimore City.
So each agency meets with us, probably it's almost a capital plan in itself, probably a year or longer ahead of time to start generally planning out which vehicles we're getting. So each agency sits down with DGS. The fire department has the most intense specifications, so they work very closely with us on what vehicles they generally want. The other agencies, if it's like some sort of car that we all have the same of, we try to buy the same type. So usually that's like the light sedans, but you can usually pick out your type of vehicle. So light sedans and regular SUVs we try to buy in kind of patches so we don't have 90 different types. Okay. Police cruisers, of course, we work closely with police, but a lot of times it's not what we can't exactly specify what we want because the market changes, and a lot of times this company will stop making X, Y, or Z cruiser. So it's happened probably twice in the last 5 years that the cruiser that we had bought went out of business. I think that some of these aren't even doing cruisers anymore. They're just doing all SUVs. So we work closely, especially with police and fire, and then like DOT, DPW, solid waste we're very involved in. But then like if it's the more standard vehicles, you might not get as much of wide of a choice.
Can you tell me how much gas costs per gallon for city vehicles at city-owned pumping stations?
At this moment, what's the overage? What's the overage? 44 cents. So we have a market rate, or we have a market rate that goes past the market. So there's a market number, and then we have a bid out with, what's the name of the company? EJ? No, not EJ. So what happens is we have a company. We get supplied fuel at a, like say, wholesale level. So that we get it at a wholesale level, there's a market price, and we hit whatever is under that market price that's bid by that company. Then we pay, Pepco is the one. Okay, currently Pepco, used to be ISO bunkers. Then we have to pay for our maintenance and management of fuel storage. So then we put a 44-cent on top of that because the cost of maintaining fuel systems is quite high, including the computers, the tanks, and everything else along with that. So it's 44 cents over the market agreed upon contract. I don't have that number with me.
And for the pumping stations that we do have, is it okay to say what you need to get access to that? I just can't go up there as a regular person, but I'm pretty sure the people that use these pumping stations have to show something. The
pumping stations, you need either the VIT, there's a kind of a chip in the place that goes in there. There's also, for the older vehicles, there's a fuel card where you have to pump in, type in this long number, including your employee ID. There's some other people with, I think we get new police vehicles that are from their loaner fleet. They still have to do all that, but we're probably going to have to keep looking to see if people are doing. It's not a single car. The problem is a double car. I come in and I fill up 2 cars. I don't know that's widespread, but I'm thinking might be the way to get around the system. Now in our main yard, there's 2 people there 24/7, which is the one over behind Fallsway. Okay. But if some of the outlying stations, there might not be people standing there watching all the time. Now also, that is something to mention about currently we're paper and pen, so the people are there right now filling out paper right now, because that was an impacted system. But luckily, we always keep the paper and pen system handy because sometimes in snow or whatever happens, we're ready.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? Director Sharkey, do you have any closing statements?
Just want to say thank you guys. Appreciate having us come out here and letting us talk. So see you guys soon.
Thank you very
wait,
much.
one more thing. Councilwoman Middleton. We got, so this year we were able to get a student from all 3 high schools from the thing. So they were not this, there's some high schools that are easier to work with. We worked really hard to get every high school represented this year.
See how good he is? He's answering your question without you even asking it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be in recess until 2 o'clock.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, he knows you real well.